Hello. We have so much to get to with the weekend at the box office. So much is going on, so much drama in our fantasy box office league. I think we can make some definitive projections. I'm going to put on my Steve Kornacki election analyst hat later and run the numbers and make some official characterizations of who is in what place. But we have to go through the weekend at the movie theaters, but I want to know, first of all, from those who participate, my 9 friends who are participating in the Fantasy League with me, and people who watch, because people just watch this for whatever reason. We only do domestic box office. I find worldwide box office fascinating. I find it so interesting, and the big American studios, they make movies for the whole world. They don't just do it for the United States. So next summer when we do this again, should we do worldwide, or should we just keep it simple, keep it with domestic box office? Let me know. Number 1 at the box office was the second weekend of Fantastic Four First Steps with $40 million. This was a draft pick of Screen Time Coda. It has $198 million total. And in box office analysis circles, on box office Twitter, box office Substacks, box office podcasts, this is a hot space you want to be involved in. People are making a big deal about this. This is a 66% drop for the second weekend of an MCU movie. This is much bigger than other drops. Like I first heard that and I was like, $40 million for a second weekend. That's not that bad, but let's bring up some comparisons. For example, Superman, which opened, earlier in July, its second weekend, it dropped 53%. It had $58 million for its second weekend. Deadpool and Wolverine in its second weekend dropped 54% and had $97 million. Thunderbolts Asterisk in its second weekend, it opened its first weekend to $74 million and then made $32 million its second weekend. That's a 56% drop. So we're seeing, 50s, drops in the 50th percentile is what you're normally seeing. And I mentioned on the video last week that people were pointing out that each day Fantastic Four made less money in the weekend. And I just think that this confirms what we've been saying about the Marvel Cinematic Universe for so long, is that it is big. It has a big devoted fan base, but it isn't the crossover, all-encompassing Galactus-esque monster. It isn't the main thing people are interested in anymore. And I always bring up the wrestling comparison. I always bring up WWE. And I feel like in 2019, we were in 1999. It was the Attitude Era. And you'd go to school and everybody in school would be wearing D-Generation X t-shirts and NWO shirts. But 4 years later, if you were a wrestling fan, there were maybe like 1 or 2 people at your school who would wear wrestling t-shirts. I'm speaking from my own personal experience. And it was still big and had a big, giant, devoted fan base and made lots of money, but it wasn't the crossover mainstream thing. Still a big thing, still a thing that makes a lot of money, still a thing with a lot of attention. But this movie really is Fantastic Four playing like it's for the fans. What I'm so curious now to see is how the next Avengers movie plays, because it's not going to be the event that Infinity War and Endgame were in 2018 and 2019. It's quite possible that the Spider-Man movie next year will be bigger than the Avengers movie. That now Spider-Man is a bigger individual character, and this is kind of like Star Wars The Force Awakens was so much bigger than the next handful of Star Wars movies that came out. To an extent, there's a way that the culture is just like, well, I already did the whole Avengers thing. Now I'm done. Now I've moved on with my life. In 2015, people were like, oh, I got to see this Star Wars movie. They weren't Star Wars fans. But then when it came out, 2 years later, time to see the next one, they're like, no, I already did that. I already saw the Star Wars movie in my lifetime. I don't have to do that again. Maybe something like that will be happening. I don't know. It just remains, it will be interesting to see is what I'm saying. What a fascinating insight I have. Hey, it'll be interesting to see. Watch this space. Opening at number 2 was the animated film The Bad Guys 2, opened to $22.2 million in second place in its first week. This was the draft pick of Patrick Poirot. Third place, the movie everyone loves, The Naked Gun. Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson getting hot together. And I can't wait to see this movie. Made $17 million. In third place, this was the draft pick of Spooky Tea. Okay, Superman in fourth place had $13.9 million in its fourth week, drafted by Captain Hot Dog, and it has $316 million total. And it just seems to have, this is the superhero movie of the year. And it will be the first time that a DC movie has finished as the biggest superhero movie of the year since 2020, if you want to count that, because Birds of Prey opened in like the early months of the year and then the industry shut down. If we want to go back to a non-COVID year, we're talking only domestic. Wonder Woman in 2017 was the biggest superhero film of that year, and Superman will be the biggest superhero movie of this year. And I liked it about as much as I liked Fantastic Four, which is to say I didn't like. I don't know. My appreciation for Superman grew when I saw Fantastic Four, but I have a podcast coming out for patrons and also for free people on the YouTube soon. Fifth place, Jurassic World Rebirth, $8.7 million in its third week, $318 million total for Drooby Dooby's movies. Debuting this weekend was Neon's horror film Together. Sixth place, $6.8 million, drafted by Cinematic Joshua. And in seventh place, F1 had $4.1 million, $173 million total in its 6th week. This was drafted by myself. And this is now Brad Pitt's all-time highest grossing movie. How about that? Worldwide. It eclipsed World War Z to become his all-time highest grossing movie. You look at his movies and it turns out he doesn't have a ton of movies that have blockbuster levels. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is really big. World War Z is really big. The Ocean's movies are really big. Curious Case of Benjamin Button was actually pretty big. But yeah, it's $550 million worldwide for F1. Big, giant hit, an F1 feel-good movie of the year, I say. 8th place, I Know What You Did Last Summer, $2.7 million for $29.3 million total. This was drafted by Patrick Perot. In 9th place was The Smurfs, or Smurfs, $1.8 million for $28.5 million total to Spooky Tea. And finally, in 10th place, How to Train Your Dragon it got $1.4 million, $260.4 million total, went to drafted by Cinematic Joshua. Let's take a look at next week, where Weapons opens August 8th, drafted by Screentime Coda. This, I believe, is the film directed by the director of Barbarian. Weapons. And Freakier Friday, which I drafted, and I think this might do numbers. It might. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. But, Freaky Friday is a beloved movie for a whole generation of people. And sometimes the movie industry is like, you know what? Who likes to see movies is women and girls. And they make a movie for the ladies. And they like to see it. And the men like to see it too. But we won't say that we liked it, will we, fellas? No. We'd rather be watching the game, eating some wings. Anyway, let's update the standings. And I think it's safe to say that in first place, Neophyte Reviews, we can characterize him as the winner of our game, $469 million. So in second place is Cinematic Joshua with $358 million. And in third place is Drooby Dooby's Movies with $342 million. And fourth place is Captain Hot Dog with $321 million. Joshua's movies, Neophyte is ahead more than $110 million, the second place finisher. And Joshua's movies are all at the end of their runs, as is Drooby Dooby's movies. Captain Hot Dog has Superman, but will Superman make $140 million more dollars? No, it will not. And so now the race is for second and third place, because the second place winner gets $30. The third place winner gets $20, and the last place winner gets $20. Who will get the coveted second and third place prizes? It remains to be seen. But in fifth place is Jen Walks Into Walls with $287 million. Sixth place is Screen Time Coda. Seventh place, Load Bearing Beams. Eighth place, Smash Trivia John. Ninth place, Patrick Pro. And 10th place, Spooky Tea. Can't wait to talk to you all about it next week. Next week is the last weekend that we will have new movies added to the game, but we will keep the game going for a few more weeks to see how things shake out with the totals. Thank you so much